Brian, you're the guy here today. You're involved with the group, but your primary concern is the store itself. Now, why don't you just go ahead for the people, KMEC Radio Land here, and in fact, this is our first interview on our new signal.
Oh, quite an honor.
And I've been told the Redwood Valley folks are digging it because it just booms big in Redwood Valley because the antenna is above the Redwood Valley.
Well, I probably should say that I'm a local attorney with a firm, Carter, Momsen and Knight, and our client is the Redwood Valley Market, which is a grocery store right across the street from where the Dollar General is going to be located, unless we stop it, on East Road in Redwood Valley. And there's another citizens group that has kind of rallied the troops against this store and has a Facebook page that I'm not officially legally representing, but I've been in contact with. One of them's a pretty good friend of mine.
So you live in Redwood Valley too?
No, I live in the northern part of Ukiah.
Oh, the northern part of Ukiah.
But I'm not too far from Redwood Valley.
Well, we're all one here. It's one huge valley,
Yeah.
you know. Well, when it comes down to the actual town itself, Redwood Valley, the question is whether or not a Dollar General store can move into a small community, and due to its pricing and its price fixing, chase and put people out of business, stores out of business that have been in business for a long time, particularly that general store in Redwood Valley. So why don't you just lead off on how you feel about and what research you've done on this situation, you know?
Okay. Well, to answer your question, I suppose the answer is they can do that unless the citizens of a community or their elected officials prevent that from happening. And in this particular case, the zoning in the little business district of Redwood Valley, which is essentially my client's market, a post office, a bar, and a gas station, and a bank, is for commercial use. So the county's position is that when the Dollar General came in with their application to build this store, there was no environmental review required under the law because the commercial use in that area already had been approved and studied previously by what's called an environmental impact report in 2009. And I am arguing that there wasn't sufficient study in 2009. In fact, they can't even really point to any study in that report that considered something like this. And I do think you hit the nail on the head with, I don't know if price fixing is the term, but I would call it predatory pricing.
Yeah, predatory.
The Dollar General is a national chain. Its headquarters are, I believe, in Tennessee. They have 12,000 stores nationwide, and I think 90,000 employees. They're a big corporation, and also, I believe, can qualify for various government subsidies, which, with all those resources, they're able to price items, the same items, in some cases as my clients sell, such as beer, at cost. And there's a effect of driving mom and pop places like my clients out of business when something like this moves in across the street.
Yeah. Scott, Scott here, he's been following this along. What do you think about this, Scott?
Well, I think the story that of Brian's client is really interesting. So it'd be great if he just talked about that briefly. It's very fascinating, and it gets really personal and kind of connects us to them. And I think it's worth a listen.
Well, my clients are named Alex and Anthony Chahada. They came to this country from Syria, which now is embroiled in a pretty terrible civil war, and started this business about 13 years ago, I believe, or at least took it over, when they were only in their early 20s. And Anthony, over the years, has made all of his own sausages for their meat market, like 12 or 13 different types he makes by hand. They sell products from all of the local wineries in Redwood Valley, and honey that's made locally, and numerous other small items, all from the community, and the money goes back into the community, where a Dollar General would, their money, I mean, if they sell local items at all, which is doubtful, would go back to Tennessee. And it's just something that is difficult for a business to compete with. I mean, every business has a profit margin, and a lot of times that's alcohol sales for whatever reason. Certainly that's true of restaurants. And, I mean, they'll be pricing beer at such low prices that my guys won't be able to compete with that. It's interesting to point out, I'm a little bit off the subject of Scott's question, but in the city of Joshua Tree in Southern California, a judge ordered that permit approval for a Dollar General be revoked, and further environmental study needed to occur on this very thing, that the predatory pricing and the fact that might cause blight or urban decay because of other businesses not being able to compete and just having nothing else there.
That was Joshua
Tree,
Joshua Tree, yeah.
Like the U2 album.
Mm-hmm. So are there other cases like that too? Have you found any? I mean, in your research, is it easy to find these?
No, they're not that easy to find. There's a lot of community support against Dollar Generals coming in Lake County. Two have come in, one in Nice and one in Clear Lake Oaks, but one in Kelseyville that was proposed has been stopped, at least for now, and I guess Dollar General is appealing. There are general
three of them in Lake County
cases, environmental law cases that aren't specific to Dollar General stores, that essentially hold if there's going to be an environmental impact that wasn't studied, as I'm arguing the predatory pricing hasn't been studied here, then there needs to be environmental review. And even if there was a previous study about the zoning, as the county's arguing here, that's not sufficient under the law.
Yes, a 2009 report. Can you go into the specifics of what you think is kind of deficient about it, or is it's just been so long? And
well, they have their 2009 environmental impact report online. You can go to their website and look at it. It's probably about 500 or 600 pages long, but it's really difficult to follow. There's a bunch of checklists, and I just couldn't find where the impacts of commercial zoning on specific to Redwood Valley was even studied at all. And I put that to the county in my appeal letter, and their staff came back with their staff report yesterday and basically said, well, it was studied and never really pointed to anything specific. So I'm still not sure if it has been or not. I couldn't find it. Certainly, I don't think it's a question that the pricing issue I just talked about was never studied. And there may be traffic or something like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say traffic. Yeah, what about that?
Their position has been that they studied the density of what a commercial zone might cause there, and I think that would include traffic, but it wouldn't be specific to a national chain coming in and what impacts that might cause. I don't know if I drove by the other stores and at night in the Lake County, and they're very bright, neon lights, that sort of thing. Water, they have no water hookup. They're drilling wells, or maybe there's one existing well, I think.
There is, yeah. They're trying to get it larger, I believe.
And I'm not clear that has been studied at all by the county. Really, they've done no study. All they've done is say it meets the zoning, and all we can... Their position is since this proposal meets the zoning, as long as the building plans meet the code and the setback requirements and so forth, their job is done.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't Redwood Valley in some serious trouble with water recently? I think...
They're in a moratorium, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Didn't they have to allow some water from the Eel River into the...
Well, the moratorium is not going to be lifted, I've been told, due to the drought.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I heard that.
They get their water through the Millview district in a separate pipe.
I see.
right now.
That's why they have to drill their own well. They can't get a hookup. And I think Redwood Valley even got emergency water from Lake Mendocino or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, it's not a water-rich area, that's for sure. And I don't know if 2 new wells in a 9,000 square foot building running a grocery store is going to help anything. Probably not.
Well, you know, after you realize that you said a 9,000 square foot building, the building is larger. If you took all of the buildings in Redwood Valley that exist right now, they would fill up the 9,000 square foot building and have room left over. 9,000 square feet is, you know, airplane hangar, 2 airplanes. Or what I'm suggesting is that, you know, if anybody wanted to talk about environmental impact, you could say, well, it's going to be the largest building in town, and it's going to have the highest profile of any building in town. And is that good for the people? But law isn't really for the people. If that answer comes out anything other than, well, I don't know, you know, the laws aren't written for the people. Isn't that true then? I mean,
it's
just about making money.
There's setback requirements. There's height requirements.
Is there a height requirement?
Yeah, I think it's 35 or 40 feet
in Redwood Valley.
Oh,
they do have a height.
So, you know, it's fair to put a commercial building in a commercial zone. It's just there should be some study on the impacts of no study whatsoever, like what's occurred here. And there should be public hearings, and there was no notice provided to neighbors or so forth, like there would be if this were a discretionary permit. And the only hearing we're getting is this appeal, and there's this obscure part of the county code that says you can appeal any approval. But it's always kind of more difficult to talk somebody out of something they've already done than have them look at the issues before they've made a decision.
So is this appeal through the Planning Commission now?
Yes.
The 19th and the 19th?
16th.
Oh, it's the 16th.
At 9 a.m. on the 16th,
16th
at the
at 9
Mendocino
a.m.
County Planning Commission. And anyone who wants to show up and speak, there will be a public speaking section at that meeting.
Did you want to say something, Scott?
I will be there.
Yeah. But, you know, it's interesting because the process was going to go on fast track to the board, just be ignored and approved and no comments. I call that fast track. Jump right over the whole EIR.
Well, that goes back to their position that no environmental review is required because there was already this 2009 EIR.
Right. Okay.
So that's, to me, the whole fallacy of their position is that there was adequate study in 2009. I don't see it, and they haven't pointed it out to me.
And wasn't there like an August 1st date or some kind of deadline by August 1st or something like that? Have you heard? I think there was in one of these articles, I think on the Ukiah Daily Journal, they mentioned that there was something like that. But
that might be the time. I think either side could appeal to the Board of Supervisors after the July 16th hearing. So maybe August 1st was the deadline to appeal to the Board of Supervisors. But I'm speculating.
Oh, I see. It says the property is in escrow closing August 1st.
Oh, okay.
So I guess that's just for the...
that's for
the property's in escrow right now.
That's according to, just to a letter
August 1st,
that the Redwood Valley residents sent to the Ukiah Daily Journal on the 6th of June.
Yeah, I believe that there is a local person who's selling this to the DollarGeneral Corporation, and that must be the escrow.
And that's an acre? Or
I think
how big is that property?
I think it looked a little bigger when I was out there. Right now it's just a pasture, and there is like a little kind of drainage ditch up by East Road. But I think there's an existing well and a pasture, and that's it right now. It's right next to where the savings bank is in Redwood Valley.
Okay, callers, if you want to call in, ask any questions, 234-3248, 234-3248. And this is KMEC Radio at 105.1 FM in downtown Ukiah, and we are streaming on the web, kmecradio.com. .org. And I want to thank some of our sponsors: Mendocino Brewing Company, Westside Renaissance Market, Unique Home Furnitures, Anthony Morris, licensed acupuncturist Sherry Jerusalem. And thank you so much. And you too can be a sponsor here at KMEC Radio and support programs like this program, and especially Greenway Distillers, who are on Belle Arbs Road in Redwood Valley, 1170 Belle Arbs Road. They are distillers and makers of Crispin Rose liqueurs. Can you imagine Crispin Rose? They take rose petals and over time make a liqueur out of the rose petals. So they're unusual and very gifted, and it's a local Mendocino County business. Greenway Distillers. Check them out, 1170 Belle Arbs Road in Redwood Valley. But they're not going to be they're not right in downtown, near the Dollar Tree. And again, they are proud supporters of community radio. You can find them on Facebook as well. And I am Louis Bigfoot with Scott here. Thanks, Scott, for being here today. And let me get my notes out again. And Brian Momsen, am I correct?
That's right,
Brian.
thank you.
So, have you been practicing law for quite some time? Or?
Yeah, I've been practicing. I think this is my 24th year.
Really?
And I've been in Ukiah for 16 years.
Oh, so where's your office? I mean,
it's on 305 North Main Street, which is about a couple blocks to the east of where we are now. Mm-hmm. Kind of up from the library on the same side of the street and just south of the pottery place there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to know more about you. Any attorney that will take on the cause, you might say, huh?
Well, our firm does a lot of environmental work. We've also represented the other side of these issues, trying to get something approved.
But wait, the firm is Carter, Momsen, and Knight.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. So it's 3 individuals.
Well, those are the partners, and
yeah.
There's a father-son Carter, so there's actually five attorneys.
Oh, wow.
And we have an associate as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Carter, Brian Carter, myself. Matisse Knight is the Knight, and he grew up here. He grew up in Redwood Valley, actually. Mm-hmm. And then Alexander Rich is our associate attorney who joined us about a year and a half ago.
Mm. Yeah, it's the one thing I've always said to myself if I had gone. See, I went to art school. Mm-hmm. I had a choice, either to go to arts or to law. And my mother said art, and my father said law. But I got a scholarship into art, so I never went to law. And every time I'm talking with an attorney, I feel at home because, it's like working the facts, working the beat. And I'm looking forward to the 16th of July at the Planning Commission. This issue is going to come forward.
At 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
And I believe if you go to the county's website and click on the Planning Commission, there'll be an email address, or you could write them letter writing and
ahead of time.
And I believe tomorrow is the cutoff date if you want to get a letter.
Oh.
And so anyone who wants to write in for that hearing, I mean, you still could show up and talk.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to get a letter in ahead of time, the end of the day tomorrow would be the
or
last.
Drop it off if you have to.
Yeah, you could drop it off, yeah.
Drop it off. Go to the main desk there at on Low Gap Road and check it out, yeah. Listen, I'm so glad you came in. Is there anything you want to add to this conversation?
Well, I would just encourage everyone to show up at this hearing because it's the only public input anyone in the county is getting on this issue.
Yeah,
and,
one-time opportunity in the beginning here, yeah.
And at this point we aren't even pounding our fist on the table and saying this can't happen. We're just saying we need environmental review, which we thought was the law of this state, and let that fall where it may.
Mm. But again, it's tricky in terms of trying to establish the overall impact a large company will have on a small town. I mean, it's known that these large stores will put the little stores out of business, but capitalism does. So I guess capitalism runs the county, not the people run the county. It's the capitalism. The guy with the big bucks, he can come in and say, I want a big store, I want more parking, I want more water, and I can pay for it. And
yeah, I'm not against, personally, this is my personal opinion, not against capitalism by any means, but there should be fair competition at least. And when something like this comes into a small community, if this store were to go down by where they're proposing the new Costco, for example, and there's already a Walmart south of Ukiah, it wouldn't bother me any. But when it comes into Redwood Valley and you got a little grocery store, and although it's Dollar General, it's not Dollar Tree. It's not. These guys sell a lot of groceries.
Yeah,
cheap.
It's bigger than.
And at that point, capitalism, there might not be a level playing field in capitalism, and there might be a problem. And also, I didn't get into this so much, but there are specific items of the general plan that are specific to Redwood Valley, and I've made a bunch of arguments that this type of business violates those standards. There was a standard for promoting smart growth and infill and architecture that fit in with the rest of the downtown there that wasn't even looked at, much less met.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're here. Makes me feel better.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
What do you think, Scott?
I agree. Yeah, it's nice to hear a lawyer's point of view.
Yeah,
on
it
the whole
is.
thing,
It's
and
good.
That's great.
It's grounding. Very grounding. So,
Definitely.
Scott, are you're going to be there for the 16th?
I will. Yep.
Record it?
I am. Yes, indeed.
So we've got, 2 more weeks? It'll be...
No less than that. It's
Yeah.
it would be a week from
Like 10 days.
is that a Thursday?
today's what, the 7th? So it's
9
in
days.
Yeah,
8
9.
9 days.
9 days. So what day is that? Actually, is that a Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thursday. So it'll be
Thursday
a week
morning.
from Thursday.
A week from Thursday.
I want to nail that down. Week from Thursday at the Planning Commission, the Dollar General, or is it General Dollar? Dollar General.
General.
Yeah.
Dollar General. Yeah, when I was a kid, it was a dime store, right?
It's like the Motel 6.
Now we're up
for
to a
$6.
dollar store. Yeah, soon it'll be the $1 million store. You know, you just walk in. And my dad said, when bread gets up past, was it 10 cents or 20 cents? Ice cream was a dime. So he'd buy, actually that was the early McDonald's was only a dime. When McDonald's started was a dime. But listen, thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And Scott, thanks for all your work on this. And we'll be back soon with this issue. And we'll be at the Planning Commission for sure. And then we'll try and carry it live if we can, which would be exciting to hear it as it comes down for the people in Redwood Valley who don't want to drive over there. And okay, Brian, thanks. Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
And again, this
Appreciate
is
it.
Carter and Munson and Knight.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, they're over here, and if you need some more assistance in the world of logic, reason, and lawyer being, listened to, talk to Brian. And thanks so much for coming in.